I'm guessing that most people had never heard of Susie Wiles before she gave Vanity Fair an interview. She is, of course, Donald's chief of staff. The chief of staff is arguably the second or third most powerful person in the American government. And Wiles has stayed very under the radar. So it was a bit of a surprise to hear that she had agreed to give Vanity Fair, of all publications, such access to her because she didn't just give them one interview, she gave them 11 interviews. And now she's very upset that somehow Vanity Fair managed to trick her into sitting down for 11 interviews. I mean, 10, okay, but 11? So why? What was this about exactly? And what was she trying to prove? Now, typically, chiefs of staff have not fared well under Donald. During his first term, he had four of them. The establishment guy, Reince Priebus, lasted, I think, 6 months. And then we had former or retired General John Kelly, the adult in the room, Mick Mulvaney, and finally Mark Meadows. I think Mark Meadows was both deeply unintelligent and a true believer. Wiles seems to have more staying power. Now, granted, she's only been there for 11 months so far, but I have a feeling that she's not going anywhere. At least she doesn't plan to go anywhere. And that's part of what this interview was about. She gave this interview to make it very clear that she can cross lines other people can't cross because she has such access and access to and potentially control over her ostensible boss, Donald. I mean, she kind of swung for the fences in this one. She described Donald as having the personality of an alcoholic. I don't think that was meant as a compliment, but perhaps I'm wrong. She finds J.D. Vance transactional and despicable. Well, we can agree on that, certainly. She basically went after everybody. Russell Vogt, in her mind, the guy behind Project 2025, is an extreme right-wing ideologue. It's like, Susie, do you not know for whom you work? So on the one hand, yes, I think she was trying to put her marker down. She is the chief of staff for Donald Trump, and she plans to stay in that role. And she is the clear-eyed one. She is the one who holds all the cards. She has everybody else's number. She is an outlier. She is not the wild-eyed right-wing ideologue. She is not the Nazi J.D. Vance. She does not have the personality of an alcoholic, and on and on and on. But what else? What else was she trying to tell us here? Besides the fact that, as Josh Marshall at Talking Points Memo put it, she was basically telling us that Donald's her bitch, if you'll forgive my saying so. But I'm just quoting him. I think that is a large part of this. But she also made it clear in her way that she has tried her utmost to protect us and Donald from his most extreme impulses. Has she always succeeded? No. Has she ever succeeded? No. But she wants us to know she tried. Why? To absolve her of any and all responsibility for the horrors being unleashed by the Trump regime every single day. Here's the thing, though. Trying to convince Donald that he shouldn't do horrific things and then standing by while he does them anyway absolves you of nothing. In fact, here's my fondest hope for people like Susie Wiles and all the other people she threw under the bus. I hope all of you go to prison for the rest of your lives. As soon as we have a democratic order in place again, as soon as we have a functioning government that actually believes in holding people accountable, that actually believes in due process and the rule of law. I want every single one of you, from Susie Wiles on down, to face the consequences of your despicable actions, certainly, but in many, many cases, inactions. You are monsters. You are just as bad as the man from whom you pretend to be trying to protect us. We don't believe you. And none of this, hopefully, is going to end well for you, no matter how badly you lie to yourselves and the American people about your complicity. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mary Trump Live. It is good to be here with you. It is, unbelievably enough, only Tuesday. So, still a lot going on. Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio gave a closed-door briefing to so sorry, I must hydrate. I'm supposed to wait until the emotional support moment to hydrate, or the clips. So my apologies. I have the heat on and it's very drying. So let's try this again. Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio gave a closed-door briefing to members of Congress today. The subject was the September 2nd strike on a boat in the Caribbean. The boat, which was suspected of smuggling drugs, was struck once. And then when it became clear that two people had survived the initial blast, the boat was struck a second time. This despite the fact that the two survivors were clinging to wreckage of the boat and had absolutely no way of posing a danger to anybody. There has been bipartisan pressure, rare bipartisan pressure, to release the video of the second strike. This would clear up whether the Trump regime knowingly fired on defenseless targets, which, by the way, constitutes a war crime. After speaking to lawmakers, Hegseth addressed reporters, and here's how he responded to their most pressing question.
In keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course, we're not going to release a top secret, full unedited video of that to the general public. Hask and Sask and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public.
Why not? Why not? I mean, well, unfortunately, some people would probably enjoy it, but we have no reason anymore, not that we ever really had much of one, to believe anything that Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, or anybody else says. We need to see the documentary evidence because their version of events doesn't add up. Additionally, CNN reports that legislators from both parties were unsatisfied with the briefing. They were not shown the full video. They received unsatisfying legal and strategic explanations for the strikes. And that's because there are no robust legal and strategic explanations for the strikes. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but I find it troubling that members of Congress are focusing only on this one strike, because the entire operation is suspect. The entire operation is potentially a war crime. I mean, I don't actually like to use language that is that vague, because I think it is all in contravention of international law, military protocol, the Uniform Code of Military Justice of the United States of America. But again, I'm not a legal scholar, I'm not a military scholar, so I can't say that definitively, but it seems obvious to me that's what is continuing to happen with each and every one of those strikes, and there were just 2 to 3 more over the weekend, is that the people on those boats are suspected of being quote unquote narco terrorists. They're suspected of being drug traffickers. They're suspected of having drugs on those boats, but they've been denied their due process because they have not been arrested. They have not been charged. They have not been indicted. They have not been tried. They have not been convicted. They have not been sentenced. They were simply murdered. I don't understand why that isn't more of an issue. Hopefully, it will become one, as the Trump regime seems not in any sense at all willing to stop blowing boats up in the Caribbean Sea. Then let's turn our attention to the vile House Speaker Mike Johnson. He is not going to call a vote to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. He's far too busy avoiding reporters, I guess. Reporters who want to know what the holier than thou Mike Johnson has to say about Donald's comments about Rob Reiner over the last couple of days. He doesn't know anything about that. And apparently that kind of ignorance is very time consuming because he just can't be bothered to call a vote about whether to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. So what does that mean? That ensures that those subsidies, which millions of people rely on, will expire this month and therefore trigger higher premiums, in some cases, much, much higher premiums for millions of Americans. As NBC News reports, GOP leaders failed to reach a deal with centrist Republicans. The moderates wanted a vote to renew the benefits and protect constituents in swing districts that will impact the midterms. That's right, protect constituents in swing districts because they need those people to vote for them. Anybody who's going to vote for them anyway, well, they can go to hell because that's Republican policy now. New York Republican Mike Lawler, who really, really, really needs to go, had harsh words for his colleagues following the decision because he knows that his seat is one of those swing seats that is very potentially up for grabs. He told NBC, quote, "I am pissed for the American people. This is absolute bullshit and it's absurd. Everybody has a responsibility to serve their district, to serve their constituents. You know what's funny? 3/4 of people on Obamacare are in states Donald Trump won," unquote. Yeah, no kidding, Mike. It's amazing that suddenly you care. Some of these moderates may join Democrats in a discharge petition to force a vote, but time constraints and divisions within the Republican Party make the extension unlikely. At today's press conference, a reporter asked Johnson the question that has been on everybody's mind. Take a look at this.
The healthcare bill on the floor tomorrow is right on time. There's always a good time to reduce premiums for healthcare. And remember, the Republican Party, since the Unaffordable Care Act became law 15 years ago, we have been working steadily, producing ideas, trying to address this. We tried to repeal and replace it, as you all know, in our ultimately failed attempt back in the first Trump administration, at the end of 2017. The famous John McCain thumbs down tanked the effort. And since then, the roots of Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act, have gotten so deep in the system that it's no longer possible to just pull it out at the root and chop it off and start over. It's too deeply ingrained. And so now we have to take it step by step to reduce cost and repair the system. And that's the ideas that we have.
Blah, blah, blah. Seriously, nothing that man says should be taken seriously. Also, note the maturity. The Unaffordable Care Act. Mike, you are so clever and witty. I think it's worth pointing out that all of this could have been avoided if 8 Democrats hadn't, in a craven and cowardly way, voted with Republicans to reopen the government without getting a deal that would have extended the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which is the entire reason the government shutdown in the first place. So just want to give a shout out to Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire, Dick Durbin of Illinois, Tim Kaine of Virginia, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Angus King of Maine, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. Thanks, guys. Thank you for betraying your party and the American people. Thanks to you, millions of Americans will have much less money because their health care is going to go up. In fact, for millions more people, their health care expenses will get so unaffordable that they will lose their health insurance entirely. Well done, truly. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, Donald was asked in an interview what grade he would give the economy. And not surprisingly, because he's like that elementary school student who comes home with a quiz that he got a 10 on and he wants a magnet to put it on the refrigerator, right? He gave himself an A++++. Okay. Well, guess what? Nobody else is giving it that grade. In fact, the New York Times reports that the government finally released new jobs data today. Remember, those data were not available during the shutdown. And these data show that in November, the country's unemployment rate rose to 4.6%, which is its highest level in 4 years. Remember, 4 years ago, the economy was recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic that Donald made so much worse through his catastrophic and, in my view, malicious mishandling of that crisis. The unemployment rate is up from 4.4%. The figures also show that wage growth is at its slowest level since 2021. This right before the holidays, right before the tariffs are about to hit in a very significant way. The Times analysis blames those tariffs for a large portion of these conditions, saying, quote, manufacturing shed 5,000 jobs in November, the seventh straight month of losses in the sector. So far, manufacturing has not appeared to benefit from Donald's trade war, which he and his administration have argued will bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States, unquote. But here's the thing. Manufacturing, as we knew it in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, is not coming back to America, and it probably shouldn't. What we should be doing, or should have been doing for the last 10, 20, 30 years, is training people in other fields. Because manufacturing in the United States would be too expensive. And it doesn't make sense. It just is not what we do anymore. But no, he's doubling down on this because that's what he does, just as he's doubling down on his tariffs, which are indeed not just making everything more expensive, but are bankrupting farmers, which then the American taxpayer is expected to bail out. All because of those tariffs. All because Donald knows absolutely nothing about economic policy, and he's surrounded by people either who don't know anything about economic policy or are more interested in keeping their jobs than they are in forcing him to do the right thing for the American people. So the Trump regime delayed the jobs report, again, allegedly because of the government shutdown, but it's been suggested that the results were suppressed because the findings are so damning. This report also revises earlier data to be even worse than it was before. 33,000 jobs from late summer and fall were cut, and 26,000 from the August report. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but during President Biden's term, a jobs report would come out. And remember, the Biden administration in 4 years created 16 million jobs. So a jobs report would come out and it would be, fair to middling, 150,000, 200,000, something like that. And then 3 months later, those estimates would be revised upwards by massive numbers. So Biden never really got credit for just how many jobs he created because the initial report always gets more attention. I don't think people are going to be as aware that the job situation is much worse than it was initially reported to be. At an event today, Baby JD Vance, you know him, Baby JD Vance. Yeah, he did his job. He has one. He has one job. I mean, he's a baby. You can't expect much more. Like, he's not a multitasker, right? Let's leave the couches out of it. And he just parroted Donald's delusional lies about the economy. Take a look. If you
President Trump last week gave his economy a grade of A++++. What grade would you give the economy today?
A+++. Look, Here's the simple fact of the matter. Again, you have to understand all of this stuff in context. You have to ask yourself, what has the Trump economy been able to build over the past 10 or 11 months, given what we inherited from the Biden administration? Ladies and gentlemen, we had the worst inflation crisis in 50 years in the United States of America under Joe Biden.
First of all, buddy, you left off a plus. I don't think that's going to go over well. And also, you seem to have misunderstood the talking point. Because, yes, people say it is inflation under Biden was the worst that it's been in 48 years since I don't know, I guess since World War II, right? No, sorry. Since how old am I? My God. No, so since the 70s, right? Well, Donald corrects people whenever they say that. It's like, no. Inflation under Biden was the worst that it's been in the history of the universe. So, Baby JD Vance, you might want to get your line straight next time. Also, you're not convincing. And I have to be, the people in that audience, either they were paid a lot of money, maybe they have Melania's divorce attorneys, I don't know, or they really, really need to find some more meaning in their lives, because those strident cries of USA as our reputation and our economy and our world crumbles around us just seem a bit much. You know what is not a bit much, but is awesome nonetheless? Finally, at long last, Mary Trump Media merch is here. Yes, look at that. Look at that. Kindness equals strength. Don't vote for fascists. I read bad books. Mary Trump Media, where fake news goes to die. We've got t-shirts, we've got tote bags, we have a Christmas ornament, and unlike Melania, we're not going to charge you your firstborn child for it. No, seriously. If you want to buy a Donald Christmas ornament, you are going to have to sell your car or mortgage your home. One of the two. You will not have to do that to buy Mary Trump Media merchandise, because we want you guys to have our cool merch and represent. So please check out the designs. We have a store, and I'm sure somebody's shop.marytrumpmedia.com. And again, like all of those things, like not all of them, but we have each design has different kinds of merchandise. They're a t-shirt and a tote bag and a mug and what have you. So please do check it out. And don't forget that everything you purchase helps support independent media and our unapologetic and sometimes, like I confess, profane political commentary. I try, but how can we possibly help it? But it helps us keep doing the work that we do every day. So again, it's shop.marytrumpmedia.com. Wear your values, right? Support independent media, represent, And you can also check out our Patreon page. There's a QR code somewhere. There it is. The QR code with little StreamYard duck. I don't know why that's there. But anyway, all kinds of content and member perks if you check that out as well. Oh, and I forgot to say that when you become a paid YouTube subscriber, you have all different levels. At every level, you get some kind of discount for our merchandise. Starting at 15%, go to 20%, 25%, and 30% again, depending on which level you join at. So check all of that out. That is at our homepage on our YouTube channel. And I am very happy that the merch is here. It is the holidays. So give people gifts. Give yourself gifts. Whatever works. Okay. We're going to have our emotional support moment, which we need. Not as much as we needed one yesterday, but we need it nonetheless. But because yesterday was a very long, very tough day, in fact, right before we did the live, I did a Substack live with Jim Acosta, who's a phenomenal reporter. And then right after the live, I had to hop on a Substack live, wanted to, but it was asked to hop on a Substack live with Katie Couric, journalistic legend. And you can imagine what we were talking about. So it was a long day and I had to cut things short a little bit. So I definitely want to get to your questions and comments tonight. But first, of course, we breathe. And now we have our emotional support moment. It's Tuesday, as I said at the beginning of the show. Shocking, I remembered, because seriously, it's felt like it's Friday since Saturday. So it's a very disturbing, busy week already. So I want to slow things down a little bit, including our heart rates, and show you this beautiful video of a sea turtle swimming deep underwater and living his or her best life. Wow. All right. Well, thanks guys for finding that video. That helped. Okay. Questions, comments, etc. Zachary's been a member for a month. Let's go indeed. And let's keep it going. Awesome. Lynn is a new member. Thank you so much, Lynn. And thank you for being here. Sheila, also a new member. Thank you and welcome. Ms. Brightside Maple, also new member. It is awesome to have you here. Thanks. Hastings Mark Susan 8487, another new member. Fabulous and welcome. Sokadeb, thanks as always. Gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Fantastic. Dorothy gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Thank you as always. That's excellent. Minus Cheryl, thank you as always for gifting 1 Mary Trump Media membership. And of course, the Minus Cheryl twofer. Thank you. This is a Joe Colorado swear jar fee. Blame Dozy Don and company. Fuck yeah. Oh, my apologies. Did I just spend the Joe Colorado swear jar money? Sorry. I will be more judicious in future. I promise. Rose Blue 4205, thank you so much for that. A 50-gallon drum of tea. That's a lot of tea. Erin, wow, gifted 20, sorry. 20 Mary Trump Media memberships. That's astonishing. Thank you so much, as always. Sheila 3444 is a super sticker. Thank you very much for that. The eponymous Joe, Colorado. It's a swear jar fee. Thank you, Mr. Swear Jar. Julie, thank you very, very much. Comment. Hi, Mary. I and many are struggling terribly with the death of Rob and Michelle, but also the murders here and abroad. Donald fucking Trump is messing with the mental health of not only those of us who struggle, but also those who don't. Yeah, he's a destructive force. He's what a very close friend of mine refers to as a dark link. He is the probably the darkest of the dark links. And I think his motives aren't I know this may seem difficult to believe, but much of the time his motives aren't necessarily to hurt other people. That's just a nice ancillary benefit. It's about protecting his ego and trying and failing, of course, but trying to heal his narcissistic wounds. But no, he is a cruel, destructive force in our world. And the way he exploits horrible situations and makes them worse is just quite. I mean, that's what he did during COVID. So none of it we should never be surprised by what he does. But I think we need desperately to hang on to the ability to be shocked, because it's shocking. Even if we expect it, it is still shocking that somebody is depraved and deviant and damaged as he is in such a position of power. Donna, wow, member for 7 months. That's awesome. Question. Hi, Mary. How are you doing? I am sending bright blessings to you. Just send a bit of Yule spirit. I think we can use it. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. We have all sorts of Yule stuff in store for you guys. It's coming. So thank you, Donna. Richard, thank you very much, as always. Quote, of all the things at risk, the loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous, unquote. Mon Mothma 2025, any credibility the U.S. had is gone. Pretty close to it. I mean, I don't know if there's any recovering, especially after the National Security Strategy document that was released a couple of weeks ago, which Ann Applebaum referred to as a long suicide note. So, that sent a chill down my spine, because Ann Applebaum knows of what she speaks. So, if that's the case, then so be it. What we have then to hope for is that the United States loses all influence, and then we just rebuild quietly and hope that somebody else can fill the void. I don't know. I do not know. Jana, thank you so very much for that. That's awesome. Question. So do you think he will stop calling her Susie Trump now? Oh, God, I didn't know he did. Woo. And thanks for yesterday's show and yet again finding the right words for the moment. Well, I don't know how, but I know it was a very tough day for everybody. So if it helped a little bit, I'm glad. I don't know. I think honestly, if Donald lets this thing with Susie Wiles go, then that proves her point for her, that he is indeed either enthralled to her or under her thumb. I don't know. Blue Green 3997 question. What's the view on Susie Wiles' description of Donald having an alcoholic personality? I actually am not going to comment on that. Because I don't know precisely what she's referencing there. And I have no personal knowledge about any substances he may or may not use. So Maybe I actually didn't read the whole thing. I don't want to, like, she's kind of a waste of my time as far as I'm concerned, but I would be curious. I may check that part out. Like, what did she define what she meant by that? Ask Una, comment, that was a fantastic interview with Kitty. Oh, cool. Well, wait, which one? Okay, so last night I did a Substack live with Katie Couric, and this morning, Katie Fang, my very dear friend, did a Substack with me. Watch both of them. I don't know. But thank you. I enjoyed, well, I can't say I enjoyed. We were talking about some very dark stuff, so enjoyed might be the wrong word, but I found them, they were substantive and reaffirming. Let's put it that way. Sorry, I must hydrate. Janice, comment, I would love to give the gift to Donald Trump of a shoe with his name on it. Okay. Let's work on that. I think we'll send him single shoes and boxes of mashed potatoes. Stacy, thank you so very much. Comment, my two youngest gave me this hello to you for my birthday yesterday. They know how much I admire you as the amazing human you are. Oh, that's so kind. That's awesome. Well, tell them I say hi, and I appreciate that so much. Jenny, 225, thank you very, very much. Comment, never forget Mitch McConnell is largely responsible for this mess as well. Oh, yes. I've been saying for years that, I mean, it's not true anymore, but up until this year, maybe not. But it was certainly true through 2021. Mitch McConnell was the greatest traitor to this country since Robert E. Lee. But here's the difference. Robert E. Lee declared himself an enemy from without. Mitch McConnell tried to take us down from within. So, yeah. Indeed. What a vile man. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce this properly. Guilherme? Sorry. Comment. Hey, Mary, question. Hey, Mary, do you think Donald will be able to get rid of the Affordable Care Act? Looks like, I mean, not exactly, but if they make it unaffordable to people, what good is it? Because it's very complicated. And quite frankly, I don't really understand the whole healthcare thing. It's complex, but you need healthy people paying into the system too, because if the only people paying into a healthcare system are the sickest among us, then the healthcare costs skyrocket. It just becomes, it has these knock-on effects that put the entire system, the entire economy at risk. So, for example, because I don't really know how to articulate that properly, because again, healthcare is kind of not my thing. But let's say you have 5 million people currently insured by the Affordable Care Act who in the next few years won't any longer be able to afford healthcare. What happens? Well, if they need to go to a doctor, they're not going to. So then what happens? Do people who are sick and don't get treated get better? No, they get worse. So they wait until they're so sick, they have to go to the emergency room. Nobody can be denied care. They go to the emergency room, they get a bill for thousands and thousands of dollars. They can't pay it. Who pays it? The American taxpayer. See where this is going? So you need healthy people in the system. And if you've got a bunch of kids in their 20s whose premiums go up by, I don't know, $500 to $1,000 a month, do you seriously think they're going to be able to afford healthcare? Or they're just going to say, you know what? I'm 22. I'm immortal. I'm just going to go take my chances and not get sick. because that's what 22-year-olds do, or 26-year-olds, or 28-year-olds. So that's one way to do it, I guess. Make it unaffordable for millions of people. Alyssa, thank you so very much. That's awesome. Chuck, comment. Totalitarianism and power invariably replaces all first-rate talents with those crackpots and fools whose lack of intelligence and creativity is still the best guarantee of their loyalty. Hannah Arendt. Yes, it's exactly what's happening. It's a kakistocracy and a kleptocracy. And it's a way to dismantle the civil service and replace it with loyalists who don't care about anything except their own access to power. Donna, thank you so very much, as always. This is a turtle Trier fee. Trier? I don't know what. Treat, maybe? Because turtles deserve treats, too. Wow, that was alliterative. I like it. That's a t-shirt. Turtles deserve treats, too. Try saying that 10 times fast. I dare you. Mendenos has been a member for 6 months. Awesomeness. Comment, if I don't swear every day, something's wrong. LOL. Yeah, no kidding. Like, how could we not? I mean, I know some people don't like to, but how can we not? Lassified is a member for 4 months. Cool. Question, who feeds Donnie false information on the economy, maybe? I don't think, I think he's just going to believe what he's just making it all up in his little head. I don't know, but Howard Lutnick, Steve Bessent, Stephen Miller. Frownhouse, thank you so much as always. Comment, thank you, Mary. Thank you. Live long and prosper. DPD 5844 question, Mary, could we sue the government for violating our constitutional rights and our civil liberties because my husband and I are planning on doing so? I wish. I don't know. I mean, these people are destroying our country. And they're destroying a lot of people's lives. I'd like to think that that's somehow illegal, but I don't know. I'd like to think there are some great legal minds out there working on it. Broken All Broken comment, Dark Link was one of my least favorite boss fights in Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time. Wow, okay. I am going to have to take your word for it because I don't know what that means. But yes, a Dark Link is not a good thing at all. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so much as always. Comment, Joe has named the swear jar, which I'm all for. However, I suspect I've been swearing up a storm longer than he's been alive. I don't know. I think you guys need to throw down. I'm just kidding. Don't. Swearers unite. Sometimes it's the only option. Yes, indeed. Look, I didn't swear. In the middle of nowhere, gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Thank you as always for that. Susan, thank you as always. Comment, happy birthday wishes to all the folks in the community with birthdays in December. We had lots of folks posting birthdays. Also, thank you for your thoughtful commentaries from yesterday, Mary. Well, thank you, Susan, for what you do. And yes, happy birthday. Happy birthday, all you Sagittarians. Do I have that right? All you seekers of adventure Sagittarians. I am not a zodiac person, but I'm pretty sure most people born in December are Sagittarians. Sagittarians? I don't know. Happy birthday. Karnak Magnificent, thank you very, very much. Comment, just showing off my new avatar. Oh, cool. It's Karnak the Magnificent. That's Johnny Carson. Well done. Well done. Ms. Brightside Maple, thank you so much. And Canada is in the house, elbows up. Where have my Canadians been? My goodness, hello. A few coins for your swear jar, Mary. That would be the Joe Colorado swear jar. But yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Ms. Brightside Maple. And finally, Erin, unbelievable. Super sticker. Thank you so much for that generosity. It is truly, truly appreciated. All right, guys. That does it for us. Thank you for being understanding last night that I had to head out a little early. Don't forget, check out that QR code. Just put your phone camera up to it and see where it takes you. It will be an adventure. And don't forget about our merch. Check it out. I know it took a long time, but we wanted it to be nice. We wanted to get it right. And obviously there will be much more to come, but that's where we started. And we hope you check it out. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you spread the word about it. That would be awesome. And I want to thank everybody who's watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and at our Substack, The Good in Us. Just so you guys know, I think I don't know that I've ever mentioned this, but every night, a few hours after the live show, over on our Substack, we have a transcript of the show for you. And of course, you can join our awesome The Good in Us community. Because much like you, they care and they are very, very engaged. So check it out. You know, some people like to read the transcript because it's just easier. Also, thank us, of course, to all of the people watching the live stream on at The Good in Us and on Twitter. Everybody listening to the podcast version of this. To all of our new members, people gifting memberships, all of our members, of course, to our super stickers and everybody giving us donations. Truly, truly appreciate you. Also to everybody who has or is going to buy merchandise. Seriously, that helps us tremendously. Don't forget, if you become a paid YouTube subscriber at any level, you will get some kind of discount on the merchandise. So check that out as well. Same thing, by the way, is true if you become a paid member over at our Substack, The Good in Us, but it doesn't cost, just like it doesn't cost anything to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which, by the way, is the easiest way to help us out. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe to our Substack either. So, you know, if you want to become a paid subscriber, that's awesome. But if you don't, you still get like 99% of the content. Almost nothing is behind a paywall. So, to our fabulous mods for being fabulous. And of course, to my amazing team. I mean, this week, again, it's only Tuesday, which is kind of mind-blowing. It's been a lot. So the fact that they're still standing and still doing such a phenomenal job is something that makes me deeply, deeply grateful. So thanks, guys, for everything you do and for doing it with such equanimity. Keeps me grounded, which is not always easy. So that does it for us. Mary Trump Live is at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, also Thursday, also Friday, Monday through Friday. And that is it. So thank you, everybody, for being here. See you soon. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind. Good night.